book. Do. I think this probably ranks amongst the all-time worst failures on the internet. I think we're doing pretty good today. Yeah.
The 100 episode was a good one.
Oh yeah, no, that was a mighty fail, wasn't it?
It works.
Oh, does it? Look at us go. Right. So there you go. Sorry about wasting everybody's time. If it's now working, I've completely changed platform. I'm kind of making it all up as we go along. So hello. Sorry for wasting everybody's time. Like I say again, today for the WP Builds Weekly News, we're joined. It's going to be a shortened one because I've spent 40 minutes mucking about and I've only got about 40 minutes left. So I'm going to be very brief about this. We have Vito. Hi, Vito.
Hello, it's great to be here.
Okay. And Davinder is down there. Hi, Davinder. Davinder Singh.
Hello.
Nice
to be here.
And Paul Lacey over there.
Hello.
We're not doing our elevator pitches this week, are we? I was so sort of hopeful that things were just going to run smoothly. We had this sort of idea that it would be, a slightly better experience because we're practiced a bit more now. Me and Paul especially, because we've done these ones together all the time. But that's just gone out the window. And because of the rushed nature of this, we're going to go through this at pretty much breakneck speed. So. Just so that you know, Davinder, because Davinder's joining us for the first time. Thanks for coming, especially to Davinder. Feel free to interrupt at any moment, and if that means talking straight across me, that's completely fine. I don't mind in the slightest. So the first thing I'm going to do today is talk about the fact that WordPress has been updated. Pretty minor release, nothing too exciting in there. It's 5.2.2 release candidate 1. Honestly, bug fixes, that's all I've got to say. Unless one of you guys has spotted something crucially important.
Nothing with this thing. I just, just like a little bug fix.
Yep. Okay, let's move on though, because I quite like this one. There's something in this second article. This is WP Tavern. WP Tavern's got this article from last week entitled Gutenberg 5.9 brings major improvements to block grouping, introduces snack bar notices. Now, in all honesty, I'm not that bothered about the block grouping thing. Maybe that is a bit of a thing, but nevertheless. It's not something that's bothering me too much, but I do like this snack bar notice thing. I think that's quite cool. If you're using Gutenberg, you'll know that, every time you do an update or save or something, it kind of occupies quite a significant proportion of the screen real estate. And this is apparently it's borrowed from Material Design, which is an Android thing. And it's like this little toast notification. It pops up, says what it needs to say, and then it just sort of slides away again. And I can see this being seriously useful across WordPress as a whole. Any thoughts?
Yeah. The question is, who is using Gutenberg out of 4 of us? I guess
I am.
Really?
Yeah, but only for this one piece of content that I produce each week. Which, if you ever go to this particular piece of content, it's just a paragraph after a paragraph after a paragraph. There's nothing exciting.
Maybe I should rephrase: who is using it for building client websites?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and the answer,
these small things are good, but the base is kind of dodgy still. Mm-hmm. To be honest, I've tried Gutenberg a few times, and each time it ended in disappointment, me with the hope that next version or next update would be a better one. Mm. But I'm still not confident on using it on my own sites or even client websites. So these small little accessories, they're fine. But then if the body doesn't work,
fair play.
You're already in the grave.
For me, it's not so much the things that, all of the things that I need it to achieve work. That is to say, I can write text and I can put things in columns, but it's the finicky nature of it. It's the time wasted when the UI behaves in an unexpected way. Like we were talking last week about, for me, when you put in, I lock the bar at the top of the screen. But then if I want to put in a URL, let's say I highlight some text and I want to put in a URL, I have to go to the top of the screen, click the the hyperlink button. Then I have to go back to the point which is highlighted. And in my case, I want it to underscore blank. I want it to target somewhere else. So then I have to click another UI element, go back to where I was, paste it paste the link in there, tick a toggle button, and then finally click go. And at that point, I'm in this peculiar position where the paragraph block that I'm in somehow gets highlighted, and I have to find a bit of the UI with nothing in it and click in that to make it all go away. So it's just a faff. But for this piece of content, the news piece of content, I love the reordering capability in Gutenberg, because some things, I think actually that's more important. So up it goes, and it's trivially easy to do. So swings and roundabouts, really. Anybody else?
Right. I agree. Well, when it comes to blog posts, I'm using that as a way to create this, even though it pisses me off more than it helps me at this point. But I can see the use case when it comes to dragging things around. If you have some kind of a bullet point kind of style or a list of some sort. I do like this thing. I think that this is something that is missing from WordPress. So like it kind of feels like they expect everyone to know how it works. While these things are going to help, we can do it with our articles. It doesn't really matter if it says the post was updated. It was expected once you click that blue button for us. But for clients that need that kind of verification, that need that kind of confidence, I think it's a great move to add these things all over the place, everywhere.
Chris Hughes has put in the comments in Facebook, he's written, Spotlight mode makes Gutenberg so much more pleasant. I wonder if that's the mode that I'm using. I wonder if Spotlight mode is in fact the name for the section where you hide the UI at the top. I don't think it is. Is Spotlight mode where all the UI just falls away and you get basically nothing? I'm not entirely sure. Chris, if you could just clarify that, because I don't know the nomenclature. Get in, use the word nomenclature in a podcast episode. Right, Paul, anything to say?
Yeah, the main thing I really enjoyed from that article was I discovered that the UI for the 3 dots. So we have like the 3 lines.
Yep.
It's like we call that the nav burger. Well, apparently the 3 dots is called a kebab. So it says it in the article, and it sort of makes sense. It does look like a stick, I guess, with 3 bits on it.
Right.
But that's what it said in the article. It's a bit like, you said the snack bar or something.
Yeah, snack bar.
All these words I didn't know.
The problem with using all these kind
There's
of
toaster bar as well, like someone commented in the post.
Yeah, I normally think about them as toast notifications, and I don't know where that's come from. I wonder, is that a Mac thing, perhaps? But that's certainly what I'm using. And on Android, they're present all the time. If something happens in the background and it updates you, this little thing pops up and goes away. And it is really useful. And I think stuff like this, like Davinder said, it would be nice if the whole thing worked before they got that all going. Right, I'm going to move on, talk about community stuff. There's an awful lot of stuff going on in the community this week. I hope that you've managed to gather in the news that WordCamp Europe is taking place in Berlin this week. It's a to my experience.
So excited.
Yeah. Oh, you're going, aren't you? Yeah, Vito's going.
Am I the only one going?
No, I'm going.
You're going as well.
Yeah, I'm going. So in Berlin this week, it's back to front to all the other WordCamps that I've done before, in that the contributor day. No, it isn't. No, I'm completely wrong about that. The contributor day, I think, is first, but the after party is at the end, and it finishes on a Saturday instead of a Sunday. Maybe that's to assist international travel and things like that. But just to say that it's happening this week. If you're not able to go, or rather you haven't got a ticket, there'll be lots and lots of interesting stuff, I'm sure, posted on Facebook and on youtube.tv. I believe that Matt Mullenweg's I suppose it'll be a bit like a state of the word type address. He's addressing everybody in the Saturday, I think, at 2 p.m. Friday, possibly at 2 p.m. 2 p.m. one of the days anyway. And very exciting. So you're going. I know that lots of people like Oliver Sild from WebArcs, he's going to be there. Lots of, it's the biggest WordCamp by far. I think there's 3,000 tickets have been sold, of which they expect 90% to attend. So a good solid 2,500. What's your purpose in going, Vito? Are you going in a sort of WP feedback capacity? Are you going there for the social, or are you going on like marketing mode?
Both. So the social is the marketing mode for me, but you just go meet people. I have a bunch of meetings already scheduled that I'm really excited to see what they have to say, and it's just kind of it feels like every person that I speak to that is kind of active, like really active within the ecosystem, that have products and they have kind of agenda, let's say, are there. So I'm really excited to see how that's going to pan out, because I've never been to a WordPress event that was this big, let alone I haven't been to many WordPress events in total, but this is by far the biggest one.
Yeah, exactly the same for me. I've been to what felt like very big events, like WordCamp London, which is a very big event, 600 odd people. And yet it feels very different in that this time around, just about all the companies that I know of, they make the effort for this one, because it's there's a chance to meet everybody else. So, if you pluck a name of a WordPress company out of a hat, there's a very good chance, I think, that they'll purchase tickets and book the flights and all of this. So I know that the guys from Elementor, Beaver Builder, Toolset, WebArcs, loads of people are going. So I would say check out the schedule and watch it on WordPress.tv if you can't attend live. This is a bit of
I think the cool thing is that it happens in Berlin, which is kind of feels like the center of Europe nowadays. So that I think that what drives it to become the biggest one ever happened before. I'm just hope that the next ones will also be like in a centralized location, so that we know that everything is going to be in English and everything is going to be can be accessible from all over the continent.
I'm going for the northeast of England, somewhere, maybe Scarborough, perhaps. That would be a. Don't think there's enough beds in Scarborough to put them all to sleep at the end. This is a little bit of self-promotion, although it's kind of not at the same time. I do a podcast for a charity, a WordPress charity called WP and Up, and it very much relates to this, because we've produced so far. We have put out 11. WordCamp mini podcast episodes, and there's 13 in total, and they're all about attending WordCamp, and they're all leading up to WordCamp in Europe. So it's wpandup.org/podcasts, and if you find the ones with the orange thumbnail, they're the ones that are to do with the WordCamp, and it's really interesting. It's just nice little stories from members of the community about why it's a nice thing to do and why it's a nice thing to attend. Right, I'm going to move on because nobody wants to talk about me and self.
1 second before that, I am going to talk about you a little bit, because this with the charity, there's also the meetups here in London, and at the end of this month, I'm going to be speaking for the first time. So if anyone listening want to come and hang out, the meetups in London are amazing. Like it's always fun just to hang out and have especially the drink afterwards. But I'm sure that this talk is also going to be very interesting and hopefully beneficial to the attendees.
Oh, great. Okay.
This is a WordPress London meetup, isn't it? Yeah.
Exactly. Which is by WPN Up as
well,
right?
It's WPLDN, I think is the hashtag. Yeah. So go and check that out if you want to go and see Vito. Right, Talk Mag this week talked about, now this is going back probably a little bit further than a week, but nevertheless an important moment in time where WordPress VIP Go kind of fell over for a bit of time. WordPress VIP Go is the kind of like the seriously expensive enterprise version of WordPress, where so things like TechCrunch and a whole bunch of other simply enormous off-the-scale websites pay in order to have everything taken care of. I think more or less telephone kind of support, and it fell over this week, and so a lot of major internet properties were showing pictures of succulents. The the sort of standard theme picture with the little round pots with the little interesting. It just goes to show that even the likes of WordPress VIP Go can fall over. I don't suppose it was anything too serious because they got it up and running, but nevertheless, I suppose if you're at the scale of something like TechCrunch, every second counts.
Sure.
Okie dokie. Nobody wants to chip in. I shall move on. Just a nice community announcement about the Spanish team. Oh, by the way, Paul, I don't have the version open where you're supposed to be chipping in. So if you just want to chip in?
Yeah, don't worry.
Are we all right? We haven't reached that point
Yeah,
yet.
I think we've
Great.
time problems,
Okay, so the WordPress Spanish translation team have managed to translate most of their stuff. So it tells us this week on WP Tavern. Pretty impressive milestone. They've managed to get the top 200 plugins 100% translated, plus a load of other stuff. So obviously Spanish being the sort of second major language, I think, of WordPress usage. It's just a nice little feature. Yeah. What else have we got? Let's just have a look over here. Oh, this, close to my heart, Drupal. Ah, the mighty Drupal. Where did it go? Apparently it's lagging at about 3.4% of CMS usage at the moment, which when I left it, when it flipped over to Drupal 8, I think it was more like 8. So it's definitely taken a bit of a hit in the years since I've been using WordPress. Well, they've taken Gutenberg on. They've decided that they're going to have it as a Drupal module. It's called Gutenberg Module for Drupal, ingenious title. And it's being used by rather a lot of people in the sort of opposite reaction, it would seem, to WordPress, where lots of people in the WordPress community have just sort of, as we did a little while ago, kind of grumbling about it and moaning about all of its lack of features. The interesting thing here is that I think in the Drupal world, this is a significant step up. This feels like a real enhancement as opposed to something going backwards, because they've had a very basic set of editors and you had to install WYSIWYG editors in order to get even that feature to be present. So yeah, they've taken it on. It's been installed a whole bunch of times. And I kind of like the idea of this project. It speaks to me in the open source nature of things. If we could get a platform agnostic editor, whether we like it or not, to have something which could bolt into Joomla or Magento or Drupal, if you've got clients coming over from Drupal, how much easier is that going to be as a sales pitch? Oh, yeah, the editor's exactly the same. Don't worry about it. That'd be nice. Anybody?
Yeah, but does Drupal have Elementor or Beaver Builder? Well, they don't. That's why they're just grabbing what's there in least possible terms.
Yeah, you're right.
I was wondering about that.
There is actually, I think there is a
page builder.
Sorry, Paul, carry on.
I just wondered if what kind of page builder technology Drupal has, if anything, or
basically
nothing.
when I left it, nothing at all. I think there was a few proprietary things that were launched in places like Theme Forest and Code Canyon, that kind of thing, but they were a one-man band effort. And they were attached to a particular theme. So no, that could be completely wrong and out of date, but no. So they had different strengths, but the page builder thing is not one of them. Right, let's press on. What have we got next after Drupal? I kind of like that story. Anybody played with WP Engine's dev kit? I'm going to guess the answer is no, but it's worth mentioning anyway.
No.
WP Engine.
I haven't played with it, and what's interesting about that to me is WP Engine got all the money and the funding and everything, and it feels like they're niching into a smaller market in the stuff that they're putting out. Every time I read about the news about what WP Engine are putting out, it's kind of something for Genesis users or something for Genesis users who want a local, like what Local by Flywheel have got the same kind of thing, haven't they? So, but I'm just interested in. I'm wondering where they'll be in a year, like who they're targeting and stuff like that, because they kind of don't target me anymore. So
yeah,
I wonder where they're going with it. And
yeah,
so it's cool that there's a new tool coming out, and I assume it's free, and it's just it used to be highly targeted towards me, that company, but it's definitely not anymore.
Yeah, pricing is like they've taken out a lot of chunk of your market with their pricing, so a person would not go with WP Engine. They would prefer with Flywheel or do their own cloud hosting. Now there are so many options, and if you're running an agency, you can definitely get the tech thing in done via Cloudways or other options like Run Cloud and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Well, that's funny you mentioned that, because sorry, mate.
Nope.
Do you want to?
Nope.
I was going to say, Vito and I were at a Run Cloud and Up Cloud meetup on Friday in London. There was only 6 or 7 of us, but it was a really good day. And I don't know about you, Vito, but I learned so much about how it all works and how we can use it, people like us. And exactly what you said, Davinder. You know, the way to how we can now use these amazing cloud technologies is just becoming easier every single day. There's still, I mean, there was all sorts of questions I had that were answered on Friday that were objections and blockers for me, and those in a 45-minute presentation, all of those answers are done. So it feels to me that someone who would be using DevKit from WP Engine would not be using WP Engine because of the restrictions that you've got, and would be using spin up WP or run cloud or server pilot with something like UpCloud or DigitalOcean, something like that.
Yeah, the biggest stopper for me for when approaching these kind of services, I'm an avid kind of Kinsta user for a while now, but when it comes to cloud services, it was all about this kind of technical know-how, you know. So while my team can handle this kind of stuff, I like to have, when I'm bringing new products into my workflow, I like to have something that I can control as well, you know, just that when everything starts going up in flames, I can jump in and fix it, and I would know how to do that. And that kind of stopped me. But after talking to the guys on Friday, it seems like it's as easy as pulling a WordPress installation on a GoDaddy account nowadays.
Intriguing. I mean, the advertisement for it looks, you know, it's definitely not targeted at, you know, your mom and pop store, is it? It's very technical vocabulary, and it's sort of bare bones. It's not trying to appeal to any videos or anything like that, and it immediately jumps right in at container-based local development environment, SSH gateway access, and okay.
That's how they pushed me away, you know, with this kind of terminology and this messaging, you know, most. I don't know if that's true, but at least for me, when it comes to growing a proper agency, you bring in people that handle with these kind of different things. But as the guy that needs to pull the strings, you still need to understand what the companies you're working with are talking about. So maybe if the interface is starting to look more and more like mainstream, let's call it, or high street, then maybe the terminology should be the same as well, so that people like Paul and myself can really understand that this is no longer out of reach for us. The
good thing about WP Engine that I've discovered, I've got quite a few sites on there, not lots and lots, but I do find the support to be unbelievably helpful and unbelievably fast. You know, it's usually 30 seconds before they get on the call, and not the physical phone, you know, the chat. But then this is the other thing which I've noticed is invariably those guys know exactly what they're doing. They don't muck around. They find a solution very quickly. Had a problem the other day with a Gravity form update that hadn't updated correctly, and there was like a few lines missing from one of the files in the Gravity form update, but it just meant that no Gravity forms appeared, and so because that site was on WP Engine, I made use of it, and they figured it out in a couple of minutes, 5 minutes maybe, and that would have taken me a lot longer. So I think the support is stellar over there.
It's great.
That's
the mismatch for me, is that the support is aimed at people who need that support for an application level problem with a plugin, but the tools that they keep launching are more hardcore developer.
Interesting point.
But I mean, they might have things going on all sorts of different levels. But the recent things. But the brilliant support. Can't fault
and
it.
they've got money to experiment. So
have they got money? I think they're probably one of the more liquid companies in the WordPress space. Got loads of what?
Former money, not current money, I guess.
I've still got 10 sites with WP Engine, so I'm still a happy customer on that front. But there's no growth there for me because it's just a slightly different direction.
And yes, so a lot of few agencies that I work, they have big accounts at WP Engine, like they have 100 sites account which they give at a discounted price. So they do have a lot of big customer base, but then it depends, you know, for a person who wants to save money and yet get good performance and also can, you know, dip their head into technicals, they will definitely choose cloud hosting provider rather than WP Engine.
Yeah, it's an interesting model. I don't quite know who they're aiming at because of the pricing. It strikes me that, I don't know how to say this, it strikes me that they shouldn't be growing still but they're still growing. So they're
Yeah,
doing something
exactly
right.
how I think. They've got more money than I have, so they're doing something right anyway, yeah.
Next one, very quickly. Zach Gordon, he's been on the podcast, and he has got a JavaScript for WordPress conference, online conference, starting in just little under a month from now, July the 11th to the 13th. It's a couple of days, including a contributor day. This is impressive. I don't know if you managed to see the rundown. They've got 4 tracks running concurrently, and every hour for the whole of the day, they're putting on 4 things at the same time. So, I mean, an amazing bit of work, Zach. I mean, I don't know if Zach himself put this together, but it's on his website, his branding and what have you. So this is brilliant. It is javascriptforwp.com. There's so much to look at. It's not my bag, the whole JavaScript thing, but obviously if you are keen to attend that, this looks like a fantastic place to join. Register for free, it says, and there's a contributor day on the Saturday with all of the talks taking place on the Friday. So definitely worth checking out.
This is something that has been happening pretty often lately.
Yep.
There was this other conference recently, right? What was it called? Like this online conference.
Can't remember.
We talked about this here.
Oh yeah. I can't remember what it's called. Kyle Van Dusen was a speaker on it.
Yes. I've forgotten what that one was as well. But yes. Yeah. This is a new thing, isn't it? These online conferences are sort of gaining loads of momentum. Yeah, that's right. I would agree with that.
I kind of attended the one that happened back then, but it still didn't feel it was really far from that experience. Even what we're doing here felt a little more. Now I'm talking within the show, but even watching this on the weeks that I'm not, feels a little more engaging than these talks were. I think that the fact that there were too many people on the feed kind of blocked the speakers from actually answering and actually getting to the point when people were asking questions.
Yeah. So
I just stayed there for a couple of hours and then I opted out, even though it was going for a few days.
I think you need somebody in there curating the sort of questions, or even throttling the questions, keeping them away from the speaker and then asking the pertinent ones at the end. Because, when you go to a live event, it's uninterrupted, isn't it? And then maybe 5 questions at the end, very small amount of questions. But that's usually because there's only 5 people who've kind of put their hand up, because it's more difficult, isn't it, speaking in front of a great big room of people. But I do know what you mean. Sorry guys, I am going to just keep racing through this. I do apologize. I'm going to mention this, but I'm not going to talk much about it. But I do want to give a heads up to David McCann, who is a fabulous contributor to all things on the internet, basically to do with WordPress, particularly Beaver Builder and Gutenberg, and in our Facebook group, WP Builds Facebook group. And he's released a video this week called Gutenberg Block Editor, Avoid the Traps. And it's just a nice summation where he goes over all sorts of little problems and janky things that he's discovered in Gutenberg and how they can be avoided. And props to David for putting this nice content out, and I just wanted to give that a mention. Please go check it out because it's a nice video. He's got such a nice voice, the way he delivers it, all at a lovely pace. I really, really like it. So I'm going to have to race through. What am I going to miss out? I'm not going to talk about Justin Tadlock, although that is quite cool. That would have been worth talking about. Yoast, I'm going to skip right down to Yoast 11.4, updating, lots about structured data. Now, what I think I'll do is I'll go straight to this one, which is a power pack for Beaver Builder thing, because I know that a lot of us in this little chat are Beaver Builder users. We've got 2 stories about power pack this week. This is the good one, then we'll have a slightly less good one in a minute. Although props, I think they handled the bad one well. Yeah. So yeah. Introducing login form and header and footer builder. Now, what more could you want? You've paid for this plugin already, and I think that they've really stepped up in the last 3 months. They've released a whole load of nice features, form builders, styling of form elements and all of that nice stuff. And here we have PowerPack adding login form customization, nice and simple, dead straightforward, but looks really cool for your WP login. And then also the capability through the Beaver Builder UI to amend your global headers and footers. I don't believe the technology is in this to do it on a page by page basis, but globally
conditionals are not there.
Okay, great. Yeah,
one header per website is there, not the conditionals.
Have any of you played with this yet?
You need to spend money and get themer for that.
Yeah. Yes, indeed. Yeah. That's a good point. Anybody played with it? Enjoyed experiencing it? Any props for the Puneet and all of that? I think good on
already
them.
got
Yeah, just
themer,
definitely
so.
props.
Yeah.
The login thing, and they also in the article it mentions another update they had recently, which was the maintenance page or the coming soon page.
Yeah.
So those two things together are just really cool. And I think it's like you said, Nathan, they just seem to be very active again in the last couple of months. And anyone who's bought that plugin a long time ago, like me, is getting really good value at the moment.
It feels to me, I could be completely wrong about this, but it feels to me like they've doubled down on the Beaver Builder side of things. I don't know if their Elementor stuff is getting an equal share of updates. Perhaps it is, but it feels to me like maybe they've decided that Beaver Builder is where things are working for them, and that's their sweet spot. So that's where they're going to.
They've obviously figured that out.
Yeah.
Everyone else will figure it out soon.
And that's where the money is in Beaver Builder economy, not
Everyone
in
knows
Elementor
that.
economy. That's the rude truth that one would know if you're building add-ons for an ecosystem.
Yeah. So, well, anyway, it's a nice little plugin. Amend your headers and footers and amend your login pages all with PowerPack. We'll hold off on the PowerPack story for a moment. I had a license years ago for this piece of software called Pinegrow. And I never really did much with it. I had this aspiration that I might be able to build WordPress themes with it, and I played with it for a while, and then life got in the way. I never did it. And anyway, they've come back, Pinegrow Theme Converter. So, okay, first of all, you got to put WordPress over to one side. You got to play with Pinegrow, get experience with it. But it's like a Photoshop for building web pages. You drag things in and so on. And then at the end, if you know how to use Pinegrow, you can now export an entire WordPress theme with all of the PHP and files that you need. And I'm quite beguiled by this. It's a nice little development.
Awesome. I think this is something that was around like years ago, right?
Well, this
particular tool,
Pinegrow's been around for ages, and they had the capability for exporting, not converting as simply as this. You could do some aspects, and you needed this additional kind of paid-for plugin that you bolted on. I think it was another $99 or something. But this just looks like a nice little feature. If it's been around for a while, I do apologise. The way it came to me in the news that I read, it felt like it was all shiny and new, but it's not going to be something that I'm going to be doing. I'm quite happy with the stack of themes that I've been using for years. But nevertheless, if you're wishing, I don't know what the license terms are, if you can kind of export this stuff and then try to sell it elsewhere, or if that stuff is proprietary. But nevertheless, a nice tool if you're into point and click creation of themes and you don't want to get involved with PHP and files and all of that nonsense. So there we go. Project Huddle are now syncing sketch files. That's all I'm going to say about that. Okay, so here we are. We've arrived finally at the other thing about PowerPack this week. And this is... So it's the longest amount of time that I've been talking about security news, and each week mentioned something. This is the first one that's actually got me for ages. And it is to say that if you're a PowerPack user, just go and update it. Go and inspect... inside the uploads BB, I can't remember what the file structure is. Anyway, go and click on the link. And if you see anything ending in .php inside that directory, remove it immediately. And because apparently, according to Oliver Sild, who grabbed a copy of this from somewhere, it is a full-on... It's basically going to take over everything. It's a full-on command and control PHP module. And there it was, sitting happily on my server, waiting for things to happen. I don't know how it got there. I've got my own interesting ideas on this, but I'm not going to mention them out loud. But nevertheless, there it is. It was in there. Did any of you guys suffer this?
Yeah, 14 sites.
Oh, man.
oh my god.
Uh-huh. on a Saturday.
Yeah, it was Saturday for me.
I cleaned it up in an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Healthcare.
Do you know though
So
that you've
it was all
cleaned it up? Because that's my worry, is that it did its work already. If you know what I mean, it's put stuff elsewhere that we don't know about, and simply deleting the file is just kind of like a sticking plaster over the real problem. But I've not had anything yet. So
I don't know, but I mean that was a couple of weeks ago. That was 3 weeks ago.
Let's bring Oliver on the show then.
Yeah. He was on the podcast. I'll be seeing him. He's coming, I think, to Europe. But
he's got a meetup arranged.
Yes. Oh, yes, he has. That's right. Yeah, we should throw that in, shouldn't we? Okay. So anyway, nevertheless, the long and the short of it is go and clean up that particular file. Anything with .php in the directory that's mentioned, go clean it up because it shouldn't be there. And update to whatever version the latest one is. I believe it's 1.7.2 or something like that from memory, but that could be wrong.
Yeah.
I got hit last week with the Convert Plus thing, even though it was supposed to be up to date. There were a few installations where it was still with this hack.
Right.
I think we talked about this before, right?
We have been. We get security news every week, don't we? Sadly.
Yeah.
Sadly. There is.
So that's the two companies doing the major Beaver Builder and Elementor add-on packs. Both hit for different products, isn't it?
It's a big target, isn't it? It's a big surface area because, Elementor 2 million plus installs of whichever version that is. And Beaver Builder, I don't know what the numbers are, but I know it's over 1 million. So, 3 million.
Well, if you're a hacker and you happen to go in the Beaver Builder or the Elementor group and you saw how many people are saying, what security plugin do you use?
Yeah.
Like, these guys are easy target. You see what they're saying?
Yeah.
They think it's all about WordPress plugins.
The version that you need to update to is 2.7.1, by the way, not 1.7.2. I got those completely the wrong way around. Right, there is a security flaw in the live chat plugin. I'm not going to say anything apart from that because time is really short. But if that plugin name rings a bell, go update it. And now we're on to the weirdy, not WordPressy news. Again, sorry, Paul, if I have hijacked you here, because I'm just pressed for time now, which is
you need to do the score run.
I do need to do the score run in about 6 minutes, actually. Otherwise, my child is going to be in the playground weeping. But a couple of things out of this, two sort of Facebooky things. The first one is that this stuff that we're doing now, live Facebooks, apparently really work. Now, from my point of view, we're putting out this news article. There isn't directly there's no sort of promotional stuff in here. I'm not trying to, none of us four are trying to directly sell a product or anything, but apparently Facebook Live, the engagement is significantly better than if you were to post a lengthy text-based post. And this is on biteable.com. Kind of a nice read because that feels to me authentic and true in that people, I think, like to watch video and, they enjoy consuming stuff like this because they can sort of have it on in the background and it can sort of like be playing whilst they're doing other things and they can review it later and pause it and stop it and start it. And so I think there's a lot of truth in that. Anybody?
Amazing website as well.
Beautiful, isn't it?
It's just worth checking out the website and how they're presenting the information. I mean, it's a really brave design with the green background and the white text, but they absolutely pulled it off.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
It's enjoyable to read and consume the content on the website, and it's really cool.
I don't think I've ever seen that colour before on a website as its main colour. It's really, it is bold, isn't it? It's nice. Yeah, I would agree. Firefox has got a new logo. Dropbox are trying to become the centre of the universe. They were the other things that came out this week. Don't know if any of you lot use Dropbox, but apparently they're hoping to become the centre of your virtual universe with their new thing, which is remarkably entitled The New Dropbox. Somebody got paid a lot of money for that, I'm sure. And lastly, did any of you have a chance to watch the Mark Zuckerberg video?
CNN was showing it like a few days back, and finally they got something to show other than Donald Trump, so it was nice.
So this is just the state of things. I think we've kind of, like, if you saw something that was a photograph, I expect all of us at this point have got enough intelligence to realise it could be fake. You know, go back 20 years, that photo undoubtedly was a representation of what actually happened. It was taken by a camera, but we don't trust that stuff anymore. But we still trust video until this stuff comes along. It's a video of Mark Zuckerberg speaking to the camera, only it's not him. It's CGI, AI weirdness making... I mean, it's indistinguishable. Okay, the voice isn't 100% right, I don't think, but what can you do about that? You know,
but the lips movement, the lips movement was exactly same. Like the algorithm did its task, like open the mouth to this degree, to that.
Yeah,
size, like according to the words.
But how if you're a public personality like him, who obviously people want to parade, you know, and poke fun at, how going forward? Because obviously this is where we're at now, and it's pretty darn good. Give it another 5 years, it'll be unbelievably good. How do we go about judging what's real and what's not? You know, you see a picture of Mark Zuckerberg brawling in the street with somebody or saying something like seriously offensive. It'll be a very difficult prism to look through to judge for yourself what the truth is. It'll be really, really change what we think is true, I think.
This is already going into films nowadays. Even in the latest kind of Marvel stuff, they made Samuel L. Jackson like 40 years younger. And with Obama, there was a video when this technology first came out. It's like Obama trashing Trump, just to illustrate how kind of easy it is, and it was a shock to everyone. You know, Obama would say something like that, and whatnot.
Can be real, so.
Yeah.
Probably not on camera. But yeah, like the line we've line. No one is them anymore, you know. To me, Nathan, you're Paul right now, and Paul, you're Nathan.
Yes.
So like, I would never know. Maybe that's the case.
I suppose at least at the moment you can take refuge in the fact that normal people don't have this capability. You need access to presumably some fairly cutting edge technology. So I'd be surprised if, like, for example, Davinder sent me a video which wasn't Davinder. You know, it's just not going to happen. But I mean, look at the little computer that you now carry around in your pocket, which is significantly better than the most expensive computer that you could buy 10 years ago.
And there are few apps on a basic level, like those who do video streaming, like they would do a virtual makeup on you, and I don't know if you've seen those videos, like a person in real would look horrible, but when it's like on live streaming, that person is like all cleaned up and all that, and that's done in real time, and that's kind of crazy.
Did you see this week, I can't remember which government, but I'm going to say it was possibly from Pakistan, and again, I just saw this in Facebook, so I apologize if this is a piece of fake news, but they were, whichever government bureau or department it was, they were Facebook living their
they had a cat
and somebody accidentally put the cat filter on, so all the representatives of parliament looked like cats.
He had cat ears while doing the press conference on.
See, this is where we're going. But you'll be able to press the Obama button or the Trump button or the Zuckerberg button, and you just sit in front of the camera, say what you want, and it'll adapt your voice, it'll adapt your face, and nobody be any the wiser.
And they only need like 3 seconds of video to make it happen. It's crazy.
Yeah. I'm really sorry. I've got a few apologies to make. The first one is that I've cocked up with the technology. I still don't know what happened there. It still is in support with the big marker platform. So I'll get back to you three guys about what happened there. So sorry for wasting your time, and sorry for wasting everybody else's time saying that we were going to be live at a certain time and it just didn't happen. We're on Skype at the moment, which is working, but it was back up. So sincere apologies, but I am going to have to leg it. Sorry.
Yeah, you've had your haircut, haven't you?
Yeah,
that's the final piece of news for the week.
Yeah, that is. Yeah. I almost put a plant behind me because
WordPress influencer gets haircut.
Yeah, good grief. Which one? Which hair that is? I nearly put a plant out today because everybody's been saying that I don't have enough foliage. because you've got foliage, Vito, you've got foliage, Paul. But then Davinder came on. It was like, no, it's fine. Look at us, me and Davinder.
Those are like fake plants. I didn't
Yeah,
know one is the
exactly,
real one,
yeah.
but Paul Lacey one is a fake one. I know that.
It's true, yeah, it's true.
This one is real, but it's dying. I'm really bad at
No
saying
fake one here, look.
I don't like killing plants, so why?
I don't get it. Fake plants, fake news, fake videos. It's all fake. Right, I'm going to have to hang up this call and leg it. Thank you so much for joining us. Try next week and 2:00. And we'll see if we can get it right. And I'm sorry to you three for mucking it all up for you. I'll speak to you soon.
Yeah, it was good fun as usual.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you.
Bye. Bye.
See you guys.